Yo, what's up? Dr. Swole here, MD, pro physique athlete. Today I'm going to be sharing a full 4-day hypertrophy program based on the upper-lower split. This is one of my favorite setups for 4 days per week, so I'm pretty excited to be sharing this with you. This is going to be a low volume program well set for beginners or people who respond to low volumes. The upper-lower split is one of my favorite splits of all time, and I was actually using it myself a few months ago. It's highly versatile, so you can use it to adapt to different needs. And today I'll be showing a particular modification you can make to improve the split. We'll start off by doing a program walkthrough where I'll share everything you'll need to know to run the program yourself, including exercises, sets, and reps. Then we'll talk about the weekly setup or how to spread out your workouts across the week. And finally, we'll talk about the pros and cons of this 4-day upper-lower program. Alright, let's do our program walkthrough. So this is Dr. Swole's 4-day upper-lower program. It is a low volume program. We've got upper body day 1, lower body day 1, upper body day 2, and lower body day 2. Here are the exercises and here are the sets and reps. Down here we have the total number of sets for each workout so you can keep track of workout length. And here we have the total number of sets for each muscle group each week. Starting off with upper body day 1, we kick it off with dumbbell bench press for the chest. 3 sets, and we're using a top set back off method here. That means you're going to work up to 1 top heavy set of 5 to 8 reps, followed by 2 back off sets of 5 to 8 reps with about 10% lighter weight. This is a nice way to get in some strength work with that top set while still accumulating volume with your back off sets. Then we have single arm dumbbell rows for the back, and you can actually superset these 2 movements on your bench. When supersetting, you want to pair muscle groups that won't interfere with each other. So chest and back work very nicely here. You will want to take enough rest in between so that you can catch your breath though. So 3 sets of 6 to 10 reps. Then we have machine flies for the chest, 3 sets of 10 to 15, followed by reverse grip lat pull downs for the back, 3 sets of 10 to 15. After that, cable press downs for the triceps, 3 sets of 10 to 15, and barbell upright rows for the side delts, but also the traps, 2 sets of 6 to 10. Finally, we have dumbbell lateral raises for the side delts, 3 sets of 8 to 12. Next, we have lower body day 1. First, we have squats for the quads, 3 sets, and we're also using a top set back off method here. 1 top heavy set of 5 to 8 reps, followed by 2 back off sets of 5 to 8 reps with about 10% lighter weight. Then we have barbell hip thrust for the glutes and hamstrings, 2 sets of 6 to 10. You'll see that except in advanced programs, I typically order exercises in order of importance, so we'll put higher priority movements earlier. This makes sure that you can hit these movements while you're fresh and get the most out of them. Then we have lunges for the quads, but also the glutes and hamstrings, 3 sets of 8 to 12. Followed by leg extensions for the quads, 3 sets of 10 to 15. After that, hammer curls for the biceps, 2 sets of 8 to 12. I really like having a hammer type curl in my programs so that I can train the brachioradialis. Then we have cable curls for the biceps, 2 sets of 10 to 15. Followed by single leg calf raises for the calves, 3 sets of 8 to 12, and you can use a dumbbell for additive resistance here. Notice that in this program, I moved biceps off of upper body day onto lower body day. This solves a couple of the issues of the upper lower program that we'll talk about later. But you can see that we're training our biceps when they're fresh and not after back training. Going into upper body day 2, we start with barbell overhead press. This mainly hits the anterior delts, but also hits the upper pecs and triceps, and even a bit of the side delts. Some people question whether you actually need to have overhead pressing in your program. I do think it is a great movement pattern, although I would put it a little bit lower priority because your anterior delts tend to get plenty of work for chest type movements. So for most people, this isn't a weak point. That being said, it is a great movement for the shoulders and also is good for strength development. Then we have weighted chin-ups for the back, 3 sets of 6 to 10. If you can't do weighted chin-ups yet, you can just start with bodyweight chin-ups or even do assisted chin-ups with a chin-up machine or bands to help you out. But you really want to be thinking of adding weight to these calisthenic type movements because that's what allows you to have a higher progressive overload ceiling. You really want to choose movements that allow you to progress to a high level over time because this means you won't be capped in your growth. Next, we have close grip bench press for the triceps and the chest, 3 sets of 6 to 10. Again, I particularly like close grip bench press for the triceps because it has such a high overload potential. With something like cable press downs, you do have issues with stability if you try to go really heavy. So close grip bench press is a better candidate for that. Then we have chest supported rows for the back, 3 sets of 8 to 12, followed by easy bar skull crushers for the triceps, 3 sets of 8 to 12. After that, we have barbell upright rows for the side delts and traps, 2 sets of 8 to 12. For these, you want to raise until your upper arms are about parallel with the ground. Then we have cable lateral raises for the side delts, 3 sets of 12 to 20. Going on to lower body day 2, we started with Romanian deadlifts for the glutes and hamstrings, 2 sets, and we work up to 1 top heavy set of 6 to 10 reps, followed by a back off set of 6 to 10 reps, using about 10% lighter weight but the same reps. RDLs are one of my favorite all-time hamstring and glute movements, and they work really well in substitute of deadlifting from the ground. Then we have hack squats for the quads, 3 sets of 8 to 12. If you don't have a hack squat machine, you can mimic this by doing a Smith machine squat with your feet forward. Then we have leg presses for the quads, 3 sets of 8 to 12. While on the leg press machine, you can superset with calf raises for the calves, 3 sets of 10 to 15. Since we are using relatively low volumes for the calves, I would recommend that you actually take all of these sets to failure. This will make sure that you get the most out of every set. Then we have leg curls for the hamstrings, 3 sets of 10 to 15, followed by incline bicep curls for the biceps, 2 sets of 6 to 10. Finally, we have easy bar preacher curls for the biceps, 2 sets of 10 to 15. You'll see that in bicep training, I typically prioritize my lengthened type curl like an incline bicep curl or a line bicep curl over a shortened type curl like a preacher curl. This is because stretch oriented movements likely have an advantage for hypertrophy, so you do want to give them some priority. Alright, now that you've seen the program, let's talk about the weekly layout. So here's my recommended setup for the days. We have upper body day 1, rest. Lower body day 1, rest. Upper 2, lower 2, and rest. The upper lower split is one of my favorite splits because of its versatility. Let's talk about how this works. The great thing here is that upper body days and lower body days don't really interfere with each other, so you can place them back to back. This means we can move around days really easily. Now, this is my ideal setup because you want to make the most out of each rest day. That means you want to think about spreading out your rest days as much as possible across the week. This is why when people ask me about a 3-day split where they might have an upper lower day and then a full body day later in the week, I don't think it's optimal because your days end up getting bunched up and you're not making the most use of your rest days. So this is why I would prefer to split up these 2 upper and lower days rather than putting them back to back and then back to back again later in the week. Now, when upper and lower body days come back to back, you ideally want to have the upper body day coming before the lower body day. This is because a tough lower body day can impact your training on an upper body day coming after, but not so much the other way around. That being said, this won't be as much of an issue for people who are beginners or those who are training with low volumes, just because you're not generating as much fatigue. So you can see that in a pinch here, we can move this lower body day over here. I can move this upper body day over here, or I could take this lower body day and move it onto the next week, onto the Monday here. This is one of the reasons why I've used the upper lower split so much throughout my medical training. As a doctor, you have to work these 24-hour night shifts, and I was actually doing one last night. Since I don't have control over my call schedule, it's really nice to have a split where I can move days around at will. Putting the upper day before the lower body day when you have them back to back also has another indirect advantage that plays into the modification I made. You saw that I took bicep training off of upper body days and moved it onto lower body days. This allows you to train your biceps when they're fresh. Biceps get used indirectly with back training, so if you train them after back, you may not perform as well on your bicep work. By moving bicep training onto lower body days, you'll perform better on your curl movements. When you make a modification like this, you want to have the small muscle group coming after the larger muscle group. Here we would have biceps on lower body day coming after back on upper body day. This is because horizontal and vertical pulling movements with back training are higher priority movements than curls. So you want to train your back when you're fresh. If you had biceps coming before back, you could go into your back training with sore, tired biceps and not perform as well on your back training. You can think of this as sore, tired biceps might interfere with your back training coming afterwards, but not so much the other way around. What other splits do you want to see me cover? Let me know in the comments below. I am the CEO of Free Hypertrophy Programming on YouTube. Now let's talk about the pros and cons of this modified upper lower split program. Starting with the pros, this program is very flexible. And as we said, this is one of the main strengths of the upper lower split for 4 days per week. I think a 4-day upper lower is going to be one of the best picks for someone who really wants to optimize their gains, but has a really busy lifestyle. Most naturals, even at an advanced level, don't need much more than 4 or 5 days in the gym. So you can actually get yourself pretty far with a 4-day upper lower split. If you are a beginner, I would recommend starting with a lower volume program like this, and then gradually adding in sets when you stall and you feel like you're still recovering well. My programs should serve as a template for you to start off with and make changes and modify as needed. The next advantage of the 4-day upper lower split is that it's highly customizable. As we said, it's really simple to program upper lower, but you can very easily move across a couple of exercises here and there. You saw me make this modification with biceps in this program, but you could also do this with any other muscle group that you wanted to prioritize. For example, I was previously running a back and side delt specialization program using the 4-day upper lower setup, where I had back and side delts trained in each workout. Now, if you just want better gains in general, I think this setup where we moved biceps works really well. Here, biceps are trained when they're fresh and with a higher frequency. Since biceps are used with back training, moving them off of back training can allow you to train them when they're fresh, and you'll perform better. You can look at volume as sets times reps times weight lifted. If your biceps are more fresh, you'll lift more weight for more reps, which means more productive volume. And volume is a key driver of hypertrophy. The other thing that happens when we move biceps off of upper body days is that we end up increasing the frequency of bicep training indirectly. Since biceps are trained indirectly with back training on upper body days, we're actually training our biceps 4 times per week in this program. Finally, this program has good fatigue distribution. Fatigue distribution is how you spread out your stress across the week. Upper lower in general does a pretty good job of this. In something like a bro split where you just have a straight up arm day and then a leg day, you have a much tougher leg day compared to your arm day. You ideally want to have your workouts pretty even in terms of overall toughness. This means you'll be able to perform the best over all sets across the week in total. You'll see that the modification I made to the split where I took biceps off of upper body days also solves another one of the main cons of the upper lower split. And that is that upper bodies typically tend to be longer than lower body days. This is just because you have more muscle groups to train on your upper body days. So a traditional upper lower split actually favors the lower body. But taking biceps off of upper body days onto lower body days evens out the day lengths and allows you to distribute your volume more evenly across the upper and lower body. So this modification actually helps to balance out the split. Out of the upper body muscle groups, the biceps are a good candidate to move because they're a small muscle group and they don't generate a lot of fatigue. Since lower body days are already tougher than upper body days, you don't want to be moving a very taxing muscle group to train like back off of upper body days onto lower body days. What are the cons of this modified upper lower split? As you saw, the modification of moving biceps off of upper body days onto lower body days actually solves the main issues with the upper lower split. That is, you can train biceps when they're fresh and not fatigued after back training, and you can even out your day length so you can balance the priority between upper and lower body. One residual disadvantage is that triceps are trained after pushing movements on upper body days. This is a feature that's common to a lot of popular splits like push-pull legs, for example. But overall, I think this is a very well-balanced split and will work well for a lot of people. And I actually think a 4-day upper split is one of the best picks all around for someone just starting out. I will be sharing the full Excel file in my Facebook group. You can find the link in the description below. Have you heard about the Dr. Swole split? The Dr. Swole split is a split I invented that combines push-pull and the Arnold split in a 4-day setup. I actually think that it has some unique advantages over something like upper lower, and I discuss it in this video here. So check out this video where I actually put upper lower and the Dr. Swole split head to head in a direct comparison. Both of these are top tier splits for 4 days per week, but they have some unique features. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more free hypertrophy programs, and we'll see you next time.